privilege out of reach. Since there are financial struggles and cultural expectations, also systematic gaps have forced thousands to abandon their classrooms.
I think one of the main benefactors out there that actually make the youth drop out of school is because of having no parental presence or no parental guidance at all.
So I really do get your point, and it is a fact that it actually gives youths the sense of independence, resilience, and adaptability. However, in my opinion, and also it
What's up mga katambay?
I am your host, JM Salido, together with
Timothy Savaliena.
and Angel Moraga.
here to talk about pressing issues in the Philippines. Our topic for today is all about sex education. Now, we all know that sex education is about equipping young people with the knowledge on relationships, health, and safety. But in the Philippines, it's a topic that sparks differing opinions. Some see it as essential, while others raise concerns about its alignment with cultural and moral values. Today, we're here to explore both sides and understand what's really at the heart of the debate. Now let's ask Angel Moraga about her opinion on this topic.
So, as we know, sex education is one of the common issues here in Philippines, and for me, implementing sex education in schools can reduce teenage pregnancy and help combat the STDs or sexually transmitted diseases such as HIV. And also, it was according to the Borgen Project in 2022, they said that the rate of teenage pregnancies spiked up from 35% to 40% from 2021 to 2022 statistics. And this shows that this is a critical benefit as the Philippines has one of the highest teenage pregnancy rates in Southeast Asia and rising cases of STDs, including HIV. And we know that comprehensive sex education provides young people with knowledge about contraception, safe sex practices, and STI or STDs prevention. And this can significantly lower these rates.
Now, I get your point, but since you mentioned contraceptions or contraceptives, don't you think that condoms or uh, other types of methods to combat teenage pregnancies are not actually 100% effective? Because studies that or articles that actually I've read show that um, condoms can actually not be that durable, or some condoms can be broken bluntly, since yeah, I've mentioned that it's not really 100%. And now, since you've mentioned that uh, yeah, again, sexual intercourse, don't you think that giving out contraceptives or sexual education to the youth actually encourage the teen or the youth to explore or engage more deeper into having sexual intercourse?
Well, I get your point, but however, there's a recent research in UNESCO that stated that it shows that comprehensive sex education does not lead to increased sexual activity among teens. Instead, it delays the age of first sexual activity and promotes responsible behaviors when they do become sexually active. And in terms of, you've said that there are condoms that are not durable. There are actually other prevention other than condoms, like contraceptive pills taken by taken by women.
Women, yeah. Yeah, I do understand that there might be other methods that could engage or battle more deeper into pregnancies, but don't you think, or didn't you like look further, that these methods might be can be expensive to the part of the youth, especially that most of the youth today don't really have any sort of uh, way of income to produce money, since yeah, the youth today most likely rely on their families, to their parents.
And that is why I am really advocating for sex ed to be implemented in Philippines, because as what I've said earlier, sex education does not, and yeah, as I've said earlier, it was also research in UNESCO. Sex education does not advocate or does not encourage teens to engage in sexual activity. Moreover, sex education informs teens about the risks of early or premarital sex or sex without, you know,
Safety,
protection.
yes.
Yes.
Mm. So, what do you think, JM, about our conversation?
Um, uh, Truly great insights from both of you, but I'd like to ask Angel Moraga about some foreign studies or data that can help us have the reference or the knowledge about the advantages or the disadvantages in implementing sex education in the Philippines.
Exactly. I can actually name you a country, and this country is Netherlands. Oh, so the Netherlands sex education is really quite impressive because it's more progressive than the US, because probably of the fact that they emphasize teaching children from a young age that sex is about relationships with both others and themselves, and rather than teaching only abstinence.
Mm. Now, I have a question or a rebut. Don't you think that actually giving out, since you've mentioned that the Netherlands actually uh, teach sex education at an early age? So, in your perspective, what do you think about promoting or teaching sex education here in the Philippines, especially that sex education might be or can be inappropriate for some ages, because as we observe in today's world or in our generation, most of us teens or most of the teens today actually um, find sex education funny or use it as jokes. So, yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that sex education should be implemented at young age, as early as primary school. So, and up until, consistently teaching them from elementary to junior high, senior high, and even college. And in that way, teens will probably take sex education more seriously. And also with that, there are actually religious countries, no, that whose parents are in favor of sex ed, just like in Malaysia. And also a recent study in Indonesia shows that 98.4% of parents are in favor of having sex education implemented in their kids' school, because they think that it will equip their children with the proper knowledge about sexual intercourse and other topics involving that. And no, and additionally, we all know that Indonesia and Malaysia are one of the most religious countries, and just like us in the Philippines.
So, yeah, I do understand or get your point, but um, sorry for the background noise, but yeah, it's really a tough statement right there, especially that uh, you can't really say too much about some religions, since uh, you really have to be careful with your words. Now, don't you think let's go back to the point, or let's go back to the topic about sex ed. So, wait a moment, let's just skip the ad. So, I'm terribly sorry for this technical difficulties. So yeah, going back to the topic, don't you think that it might be or it can be culturally offensive, since there are cultural or religious beliefs that actually promote abstinence before marriage? Since, for example, us Filipinos, we are most likely Roman Catholic, so it is really promoted by our parents that we should have sexual intercourse before sex, since sex should have sex right after marriage. I'm sorry for the grammar. So I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm going to repeat. So the our parents actually promote have sex right after our marriage, since actually sex for me is really quite a sacred thing, since sex doesn't just involve love or any type of feelings or emotions, but actually it also involves a sacred union between man and woman, since you are not only making love, but you're actually making a new type of life that you are considering to enter into this world.
Okay. Um, Actually, sex education is not about promoting immoral behavior. It's actually about providing factual, science-based knowledge that helps individual make informed, responsible choices. And also, in fact, teaching values like respect, consent, and responsibilities aligns with the moral and ethical teachings of many religions, including Catholicism or in Roman Catholics. So, comprehensive sex education focuses on empowering young people to respect their bodies and relationships, which are consistent with religious values of dignity and self-control, and not about more on encouraging teens to engage more in sex, especially on premarital sex.
Mm, so what do you think about that, GM?
Again, truly great insights from both of them. That as what Angel mentioned, that sex education can help reduce teenage pregnancies and STDs in the Philippines. Also, a great point from Timothy that although it can reduce teenage pregnancy, it can also have an effect that can inspire the youth to have more sexual intercourse for pleasure rather than for its safety precautions. We also can't forget the cultural beliefs in our country, knowing that most the majority of our population is Roman Catholic, and that as Timothy mentioned, that we Filipinos have cultural beliefs such as sexual intercourse should be done after marriage, but also a great output or opinion from Angel that sex education does not encourage premarital sex or um, sex before marriage. It also helps self-control for the youths that can help them decide their own actions that will have great consequences for them. Now,
So,
Now, for the topic of emotional well-being, I would like to ask Angel Moraga about her opinion on this certain topic in the sex education.
so in the concept or in the context of emotional well-being, sex education provides accurate information about sexual health. So, with that, it alleviates fears and misconceptions that can cause anxiety. And also, normalizing conversations about sex and health reduces feelings of shame or embarrassment and promotes emotional openness.
Now you've mentioned promoting sex to be talked more open, or more talked, I mean, more conversed usually. So I think that uh, mm, in doing this, the youth can be more dependent, or like kanang could explore, since they are more open to talking about sex. They are most likely more what do you call this?
Adventurous.
Yes, adventurous, more likely to be um what do you call this? The eager thing about wanting to know.
Curious?
Yeah, curious. They're more going to be more curious into diving this kind of topic, and I think that since being open could uh could delve into having more more or engaging more into sex, this could going back to the first point, that this could actually promote having the youth to, yeah, encourage the youth to have more sexual intercourse, resulting into HIVs or STDs. Yeah.
Yes, I do get your point. And also, going back to the first topic, as what I've really emphasized, sex education does not teach teens to engage in early sex. All right. Although it is really natural for them to really stay curious or to know more about sex education, because it also has its benefits on them, teens. So if we refuse to teach sex education out of you know discomfort, or as what you've said, because they can engage more in sex, it can lead to young people being uninformed and vulnerable. So without proper knowledge and wisdom, they may turn to unreliable sources such as their peers and also the internet. And with that, it might lead to risky behaviors and harmful consequences.
Yeah, I get your point, but don't you you should consider that some people might feel discomfort or more sensitive to these type of topics, since uh, not all are comfortable sharing these types of topics in public, especially that sex education are usually more talked or often tackled in schools.
Again, truly great insights from both of them. Angel, as what Angel emphasized, that um, emotion in terms of emotional well-being, implementation of sex education in schools can help lessen the level of anxiety to the students if they gain the knowledge on the risk and the consequences of delving in uh, premarital sex. Since if you have no proper knowledge, you will be feel more in danger. And also, the point of Timothy is also right, that some people are doesn't like talking about sex in public, especially in school, since they think that the topic of sex are private and needs to be talked only in the households, that parents are should be the one or should manage the topic about sex, since they are the first or the first source of guidance in the life of a student or a youth.
I'd like to add a comment or a statement on that, since not all parents actually support sex education, since yeah, sex education might be or can be sensitive to some, since it is a controversy or a sensitive topic. Not all parents actually support in the teachers giving out sex education to their children. And also to add to regarding to the teachers, I'd like to ask you a question. So, what if the teachers or the educational system doesn't give out the proper the proper education or the proper method of teaching sex education to the children? Since going back, since if they don't give out the proper teaching, the children might use or might find sex education as funny, since they won't take it seriously, since the teachers themselves, the mentors themselves, don't even teach this properly.
So that is actually a valid concern, and yeah, it also highlights the importance of proper teacher training. So educators need specialized training and resources to confidently and effectively teach sex education. And also, the government should also incorporate or provide programs that focuses on equipping teachers with accurate information, cultural sensitivity, and strategies to handle sensitive topics. And additionally, schools can also involve trained health professionals or counselors to support or even lead these lessons.
Truly great insights from both of them again, from the parents' perspective and now changing into the teachers' concerns, that as what Timothy mentioned, that what if the teachers doesn't have the proper knowledge or the proper lesson that they need or they will teach to the students. And also Angel's point that before implementing the sex education, the teachers should have specialized or trainings so that they have the proper knowledge to teach the students about sex education. What a truly great insights from both of them. Again, as what Timothy mentioned, that from the parents' perspective to the teachers, what if again his question, what if the teachers doesn't have the proper knowledge about the lessons that they're teaching, and also the point of Angel that before implementing the program or the educate the again the program, the teachers should take a specialized training course so that they have the proper knowledge that they need to teach the children. Now, guys, for my question, what about the youths that are out of school youth? What about the out of school youth? Since our topic last episode was about the out of school youth, what do you think are their? What do you think? What are your opinions on their situation since they can't access the proper knowledge, or since if we implement the sex education in schools, the out of school youth still can't get the proper education they need since again they're out of school youth.
With that, I think the government should implement initiatives or programs or even seminars to barangays, no, so that even out of school youths can still know about sex education and also the risks and yeah, the risk of being of engaging in sexual activities and the risk also of having or yeah having STDs and I mean just like HIV or AIDS.
So yeah, since you've mentioned the government programs, was it? So I think that going back to our conversation to the last episode, not all governmental programs reach different types of places since there is a limitation that um, there's a limitation in resources, especially in funds or in giving out what do you call this? In giving out payrolls to the employees that could actually implement these. Um, Not all of the out of school youth could reach these type of programs. Now, since the out of school youth don't really give a damn about sex education, since the priority of uh, the out of school youth is to find money to find a living so that they can provide themselves the food or groceries or to provide themselves with the things that they need. Sex education won't really be the first problem or the first interesting that they would want to go through. So yeah.
Again, truly great insights from both of them. Now, guys, since I I want to ask you questions about I want to ask your opinions about the topic about youths not taking the sex education seriously. Some make their using the sex education topics to as a joke, making fun of it and not taking it seriously.
So it's actually true that teens might initially react with humor or discomfort to sexual topics because of immaturity or embarrassment. However, this is precisely why comprehensive sex education is important. So when these topics are presented in a respectful, age-appropriate, and factual way, they help normalize discussions about sexuality and reduce the awkwardness. So over time, students learn to approach these subjects with maturity and seriousness, which is crucial for understanding their health, relationships, and their responsibilities.
Well, for me, I think that some or the youth actually find these topics funny is because they don't accept themselves. They don't accept sex education as a reality since uh, they really haven't explored the reality or the the world of sex education, since as ourselves we know that sex education is true. So unsa na palong? So I'm terribly sorry that Yeah, our camera died, so yeah, we used another device to film this podcast. So we're terribly sorry for that cut. So going back to the conversation, um, yeah, I think that the reality of sex education being used as jokes, since the youth themselves don't accept their well-being or their own body.
Now, guys, I would like to ask you your opinions about parental involvement in the topic of sex education, since we know that parents are the first, or families and parents are the first persons that the youths
Rely.
are rely on and yeah, depends on.
So, parental involvement is really crucial in sex education because parents play a key role in shaping their child's values and attitudes. So, ideally, schools should work with parents to ensure that the content of sex education aligns with family values, while also providing factual, inclusive, and respectful information. And also, parents can support the learning process by continuing discussions at home and reinforcing the messages of consent, respect, and healthy relationships.
Mm. So yeah, I get your point, but I'd like to ask you a question. So what if the children themselves doesn't have or doesn't get that parental guidance because they don't have any parental figure that they could rely on? So this could actually result in misdirection, leading them to not really appreciate sex education itself, and resulting back to the topic that they could also find sex education as funny, since they won't really be appreciative or more serious into diving these topics, since they themselves don't know or don't even know what sex education is. So yeah.
Again, truly great insights from both of them in the topic of parental involvement, since as what Angel mentioned, that parents are the first people or persons that the youth rely on, and as what Timothy pointed out, that not all youths today, even if they're in school, not all youths does have parents, or and even if they have parents, it can be a single parent that is working hard, that doesn't have time to guide their children, or doesn't have the time to teach their children the proper knowledge in life.
So yeah, that's it for our episode today for about sex education. So yeah, let's keep learning together.
Where conversations meet connection.
This is Tambayan Talks.